Ladies and gentlemen, this is a story that came out April 9th, 2018, in the Daily Beast, and I'll leave the link to this article in the description box. Trump has largely made a huge deal out of this Mexican wall at the border to keep the drugs from coming in. Now, mind you, we all know that there is no wall that's going to stop any Mexican from coming into this country illegally. It will still happen. Wall or no wall, you can best believe it. It's been happening for decades, for centuries. But see, he's doing all of this to pacify the ones that voted for him. But see, that's not the only border to be concerned about. You have the Canadian border. And this report that I'm going to give you today from the Daily Beast is showing you that tons and tons of fentanyl and meth is also coming across the Canadian border. And these are not Mexicans that are bringing this in. These are white Canadians driving across the border with all of these drugs every single day. Many of them are coming in through Montana, but we know that's not the only border state. There are many border states, but that is one of the main ways they are coming in from Canada with all of these counterfeit OxyContin pills and meth. We don't hear a peep out of Trump talking about cutting the drugs off from Canada. None of his supporters are whining about that either. Trump is freaking out about the wrong border. Killer fentanyl coming from Canada. And it's always been drugs coming in from Canada, ladies and gentlemen. It's just that they will always focus on the people that look different from them. Just understand that. That's the usual pattern of the U.S. Trump is building a wall along the southern border, the backbone of his anti-drug policy to keep deadly narcotics like fentanyl from entering from Mexico. Last month, Trump was delivering remarks at another public session on opioids and officials and shutting down massive amounts of all of these narcotics actually coming from the Canadian border. But you know how it is. They shut down one spot, they'll just get in through another way. But it never stops flowing in. The trafficking operation from Canada is based in Calgary, Alberta, just a 3-hour drive from the Montana border. And they were actually producing 18,000 counterfeit pills per hour for export into the U.S. And many of them did make it into the U.S., and these drugs also go on the Canadian market. Now, these are the things that were seized. They seized pills stamped 80 and CDN, which is commonly used for the painkiller OxyContin. There was no oxycodone to be found. Investigators from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Clandestine Lab Enforcement and Response CLEAR team discovered 18 kilos of suspected fentanyl in 2 different locations. The investigation began in 2016 when police in Provo, Utah, pulled over a pickup truck carrying three men. These were three Canadians, and 200 pounds of methamphetamines. Press reports at the time described it as the state's largest ever meth bust, valued at 1.5 million on the streets. The men were all Canadians, and police would learn that meth trafficking was just a small part of the bilateral flow of drugs the group was moving across the U.S. border with Canada. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. They're so busy watching Mexico, tons and tons of meth and fentanyl is crossing the U.S. Canadian border every single day. So not only are there flows of fentanyl coming in from China, but much of that Canadian fentanyl also comes from China. So now you really have Canada and China simultaneously, ladies and gentlemen, flooding the U.S. market with fentanyl. That's what's happening right now. Yeah, we don't need that opinion. We don't need the cat opinion, okay? All right, bye Loretta. All right, y'all. Um all right, so now all of this stuff is coming in, and the bottom line is Canada is also a major contributor to the drug addiction going on in America. And meth is exploding around the country. And there's a lot of meth um, addicts that are dying now. And it's largely due to the fentanyl being mixed in with meth. And as you can see in the story that I did the other day, there's people in Ohio, addicts, that are dying in droves from mixing opioids, fentanyl, and meth all together. And these people are flooding into the morgue there. Now, Ohio may be the place that's hit the hardest, but you can best believe this is going on everywhere. And instead of these people getting off of the drug, they are looking for a more powerful high. And you can't put it all on the dealers like Trump is trying to do. The dealers would not exist if the drug abusers were not demanding these drugs on a regular basis. If your addicts were not making the demand, these drugs wouldn't be a factor. So just in July, the largest fentanyl seizure in Canadian history, 130,000 counterfeit pills, along with two uh, presses capable of producing 10,000 pills per hour. Mm-hmm. Then in January of this year, they were able to go to a house fire, and there were 16 kilos of carfentanil. And this is all in Canada. And these drugs are intended for the market in Canada and the US. All right, so the Edmonton police made some pretty large seizures of carfentanil. Okay. Some of the fentanyl is making it onto U.S. soil from 2013 to 2016. Fatalities linked to illicit fentanyl in the U.S. rose more than 500%. Most of those who died, including, never mind, going over that. A report that indicates, all right, hold on. I'm just going down because they're talking about Prince. And here's the thing, they're talking as if Prince is the only entertainer that has died from a drug overdose. That's why I'm skipping over that, because that's a joke. You've had many entertainers die from drug overdoses even recently. So get out of here with that. As the Daily Beast reported in 2016, in recent years, Chinese labs have become a supplier of powerful fentanyl analogs designed to skirt U.S. law by modifying the chemical structure of the drugs. And that's why so many of them are making it in. Remember, the dogs can't sniff out much of this fentanyl that's coming through. Number one, it will kill the dog. Number two, they change their fentanyl analog constantly. So it's even hard for the labs here in the US to keep up with all of those changes that are constantly being made. By the time the US labs catch up to what's going on, the drugs have already hit the streets all across the country. And China's not going to stop doing this. They're going to keep doing this to the US. Canada is hardly a new player when it comes to satisfying contraband in the United States. Establishing smuggling routes exist across America's notoriously porous northern border, which has 120 points and stretches more than 5,500 miles, encompassing large areas of remote wilderness and numerous waterways. Now, remember, America has 47% of unoccupied land. And when those Canadians come in, that's the territory that they're coming in through. Okay? So it's not hard for them to come in. And not only that, they can come in by boat. They do not have to come in using any vehicles. They can come in with those drugs by boat and cross over to the US side. So, my point is, ladies and gentlemen, putting up a Mexican wall is counterproductive, especially when you have powerful drugs coming in here from Canada and not a word of this is being spoken about in the mainstream media. Not a word. Please tell me what you think, ladies and gentlemen. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell and come and join me on my other two channels. Make sure you subscribe. Peace, family.